Hi, good evening. Thank you, Craig, and thank you, the Architecture League, for having us here, and Nick. I feel very honored to be here and sharing my work with you. Tonight, I would like to show you two of our projects. I think that they are very representative of what we do. We've been very lucky to work, as Craig said, in many different places. And this, of course, implicates a lot of travel. I think we calculated recently around 1 million kilometers long. And I'm sorry some of the slides doesn't show that much. Can you probably shut down the light here and maybe they show better? Well, let's see. Well, that was a map of Mexico showing where is Mexico City. I wanted a little bit to put you in context. Where do I work? Where do I come from? Where do I work in? This is Mexico City, and this is a comparison with Manhattan and New York City. We are a city of 22 million people. You are around 18 million altogether. And, but we are a very extended city. We're huge. You can see the type of density you can imagine in Manhattan. The density is around 71,000 people per square mile, and in Mexico City it's around 21,000 people per square mile. So it's very different, very different density. In average, our average height is 3 floors in the whole city. Of course, there's denser areas like the city center, but not as New York, definitely. We are as extended as possible. We arrive all the way to the mountains. We're in the middle of a valley. And when I say the mountain, I say the mountains, no? It's on top of the mountains, almost, or where as high as it can get. We're also, I would say that we live in a city that has a responsive urbanism. Instead of, urbanism should be planning, should be ahead of time. In Mexico is responsive, and I say this is an informal settlement in Mexico, and urbanism arrived later, infrastructure for it arrived later. The people settled there buying agricultural land, and this is why the grid is so rigid, because this is how it was divided for agriculture. And then the city responded with infrastructure and transport. It's a very green city. You cannot imagine that. And when there's good days that we have been having 3 months of these days, you can see the mountains, and it's really pretty. We were conquered by the Spaniards in the 16th century, and the historic center was built by them. We have a university that has 300,000 students. We have, of course, also new developments that are higher in density. And the mountains are not only populated by poor people, there are also rich people doing their houses there, willing to have a garden, a flat garden, or also using them in a more intelligent way. Or the poor areas that also are climbing up to the mountains to build their houses. The housing problem is huge, and the government is trying to solve it with this, which I don't think is especially the correct solution, but this is how it is. And in general terms, it's a huge city, but it has a lot of vibe, and I truly like the vibe it has, and I wanted to really live it. So the office is in the center, in the most important avenue, which is Reforma. This is the avenue where the office is. And this is the people that work in, and they are all very important. This is why I always show a picture. We are a group, and I think we arrived in the correct moment in architecture in Mexico, and we have had many opportunities because also architecture is flourishing. The economy is being more stable since many years, and we have had the opportunity to work in very different kind of programs. I always say that we are doing a funeral house and a botanical garden and many things are in between life and death. A studio for an artist. This was a hall for the funeral house, a studio for an artist, a house in China, another house in Mexico in the hills, community center in Ciudad Juárez, which is one of the most dangerous cities now in Mexico, and we're trying to do these community centers in different places of the city, so to recuperate different spaces there. We're doing also public concert halls, a house for an artist, Gabriel Orozco. We work for him in this house. So the type of programs and context that we've worked on have been totally different, and this has made us, or this has allowed us to work in very, very different type of solutions and present different solutions all over, no? And I'm going to show you two projects. One relates to more of social tissue confrontation, and other one more of urban situation. The first one, it's about cult, it's about religion, it's about a very important pilgrimage that is done in 154 kilometers long in the north of the city. This doesn't show that much, sorry. This is a map of the route. And the route, it changes in altitude a lot. It's a pilgrimage route from a small little town called Ameca to another one named Talpa. And they go all the way there to pray to the Virgin of Talpa. And this, it's been a ritual for many centuries. And nowadays, every Holy Week, which is next week in Mexico, it holds 3 million people. 3 million people along the whole route are walking to pray to this Virgin. This is a very important ritual for many, many families. And they're very devoted. They spend almost 4 days doing this route. They have, until now, they had no infrastructure at all. This was the kind of infrastructure there was. The ritual involves a lot of signage because they put these little wishes on what they want to walk this route for. They also sign where the place is, telling other people. Some people die during the route, so you can find these things. The landscape is totally different from one part to another one. As I showed you in the first image, the altitude changes very much. So, of course, the weather and the vegetation is totally different from one place to the other one. You also, at some points, you can go into little towns. People normally don't go in, but some of them actually end up there. And, of course, with the lack of infrastructure, the pollution, there are many, many problems, of course, but the pollution is one of the biggest one. The type of infrastructure that they had to build, for example, for toilets is like this, for places to eat, and when they're not used, they're totally destroyed afterwards. Again, another toilets. And we were invited by the government to do a master plan for this route and to insert infrastructure that could help to make this route easier for the people, or with more services at least. And what we thought, it was to convince the government to develop the master plan and to invite different architects from different places that could do these little interventions in specific points. So we could also add a bit of aesthetic reason or aesthetic icons that could be identifiable for the people to walk, and also to impulse this route in a more touristic way, because also the government wanted to support the people so people could go in different time of the year, because people also before didn't use it only. They use it only in the Holy Week, because this is where of course, other people would put a little infrastructure, as the toilets you saw, or the little places for having some food or rest. And so if the government thought that if we could do structures that could be more established there, they could really use it the whole year. So we designed the master plan. I did it along with Derek Dellekamp. I decided to invite him. He's another Mexican architect that was also a new emerging voice last year, because we were working together in a research center we had, and I thought that combining much more people with different backgrounds and different ideas would be much better to have a more impact on this one. I also thought that if we designed the whole thing, could have been very boring for these poor pilgrims, no? But well, so Derek and I decided, did the master plan. We decided where we would put all these things, where we would put sanitary services, health services, trash cans, signage, places for food, places for rest, places to get water. But we also decided that, as we told you, we needed some identification points and also some places for worship. This is a pilgrimage route. Sorry, I didn't tell you, it's a Catholic pilgrimage. Mexico is 95% Catholics, and these people go to pray to this Virgin of Talpa, no? So we decided to invite architects from Switzerland, HHF, Christian Gantenbein. We decided to invite Weiwei because the two projects we did in China in the past was because of him. So we decided to pay back the invitation, but also we wanted him to develop a piece for here because we thought that his architecture-related work was perfect and suitable for this place. So we took all the architects and the people to see the site. We didn't walk the 154 kilometers, I have to confess. We will someday, but not that time. And then we decided who was going to do what, and we every of them, we all choose our places. We went there and saw them, and it was easy. It was not a big fight. And the first structure was the government wanted like an identification sculpture. They wanted also something called gratitud, which is like to thank the gods that this exist and that this happens. So we thought that to make it even more obvious that this was a Catholic route, we started to design with the cross, which is the most important symbol from Catholicism. And very simple idea of doing an open chapel, just marked by 4 walls that, of course, if you see them, they do a cross, and bring up these walls to create an icon that could be identifiable from many places, but also that they could create in the center shadow for these pilgrims to start the route. But also these walls could be the walls where they could hang all these signs or wishes, where they pray or the reasons that why they do the route, no? So these little structures have been built during this past year. They're almost done. They will be done for next week, and they were built with local people from these little towns. It was very difficult to access to some points because, of course, there are points that you need to walk for 6 hours to arrive. So this is why, and the reason was that the people that know the place were the ones that build it, but not necessarily they know how to build. No, so the handcraft was not qualified at all, and we were very happy to see the results that were incredibly amazing for having non-qualified handwork in these parts. And at the end, we will see how they respond with 3 million people at the same time next week. But I think that in terms of how the people are taking it, because everybody of the little towns are involved, I think that they feel very proud of them, and I think that people that will pass by, they will be told that these little structures are along the route, and I hope they will get them, they'll make them themselves, their own structures, no? This is the second identification point, which is an observatory point on top of the hills. From the first one, you can see this one, and when you are there, you can see the first one I show you, and from there you can also see the third one. And this is a poll that it was done by Christian Gantemin. It's a Swiss office, a young office as well. And also the purpose is that this gets all the signs inside, and it also has a place inside that could be used for worship, or maybe, well, I don't know, I hope it's used for worship, not for other things. This is a structure. This is a structure that Weiwei did. Weiwei decided to put these two walls. I don't know if it was kind of like the China wall. No, I don't think so. It's not that long. But anyway, this is two walls that go from one side they go all the way down to the earth, and from the other one they go up to the sky. And I think it's very poetic. This one that goes down to the earth and up to the sky, a little bit like Catholicism. And then this one, the next structure is one we did, is two walls that fold into each other. And the purpose of these walls folding like this is the first part, it becomes a seating place, then a shadow place, and then a worship place, then again a shadow place, and a seating area. This one hasn't been built, and this will be finished by next year. All over the route, there's different shelters done by a local architect. We decided that the shelters had to be done by a local architect because we want the local architect to really understand the site, the conditions of the construction. As I told you, there are many places where it's very hard to access, and the materials that these things had to be built on. So we didn't want it a Swiss architect building 8 of these little structures. We wanted a local architect. So we chose Luis Aldrete, which did an incredible job with the bricks that build all the houses around this area, and using materials that were found around the specific sites of these shelters. And there are places for sleeping and washing and eating. And they are found 8 along the route, and they all look pretty much the same. This is another viewing point. This is from HHF, another Swiss office. This can be seen from the structures that I showed you before. And it's also, I think this one is very playful. The people already are very happy to have this one. Children go up this hill just right now. The construction is still going on, and children go up to see how the construction is coming along because they think it's very playful. And we never thought this was going to happen, but this has happened. And, I don't have the latest photographs, but this is almost done. This is a structure from Alejandro Aravena from Chile. We invited him because we thought his approach to architecture, and especially to the people that were the final users of these little structures, is very interesting. So we thought that it was very interesting to invite him. He did this viewing point, which is this structure that forms this angle and becomes creates a tension with the mountain around. And the last structure that you can also see from this one is a structure that Derek did with an architect named Rosana Montiel. And this is another worship area, which is a circle that surrounds the sky in a way, and I think it's also very poetic. It has seating area inside, and so when you are in, you can enclose the sky with the trees, and it becomes a worship place. And you will become to this point, is the last point you will arrive until you get finally to the church. And the church has no relevance, but that's why it is. And it was there. A beautiful church from the 17th century was there, and unfortunately, somebody decided that it needed a renovation, and they turned it down, and they did it in the beginning of last century. So that's where you arrive, unfortunately. Destiny is very importantly, religiously speaking, architecturally speaking, not that much. But well, the next project I'm going to talk about is a botanical garden. This project has been very representative in our work because, first of all, it has been in the office for 5 years. We've been working on it for 5 years. And second of all, because for me, it represents a lot of what in Mexico should start happening. It unfortunately doesn't happen. It's a public project, it's a public garden, where a private businessman is donating money. These things doesn't happen a lot in Mexico. I know that here these things are pretty normal. But in Mexico, everybody, or most of the places is people is waiting for the government to act and to start working in public spaces and to start building infrastructure. And I think that the only way that we could really achieve incredible projects is when the public and the private sector are starting to cooperate and to work together. And this is the case, and this is one important example. In a city that that has become famous because of the drug dealers that live there. It's Culiacan in the north of the city. Sorry, you cannot see this map. But Culiacan is, it's a city that in the late 80s, 70s, started to grow as a very important drug dealer city, no, the drug dealer's place. It has been very important city for agriculture, good agriculture until now, but of course also for bad agriculture. And so there's a businessman that is from there. It's a city which is pretty good in economically speaking, in terms of what happens in Mexico. And so this businessman that is from there wanted to give something back to the city. He's a very important art collector, and he decided to donate 35 pieces of art from his collection into this public space. Culiacan is a city that it's 1.5 million people around. It's also very flat city like Mexico. This is even flatter. And it has 2 rivers that cross the city. Now the city is being developing around these rivers. The city is pretty normal. It has no highlights at all. A few buildings that are taller. It's famous for its sports as well, for baseball. It's also famous for gambling, not for architecture. And it's also the people there is very religious, and but as I told you, this is the capital of the drug dealers. Culiacan, you see it there, where the red arrows go and the black goes to the north, and this is the roots of the drugs in Mexico. And also the drug dealers are very religious. They have their own chapel devoted to Jesus Malverde, and the culture in the city, it's totally merged with this drug culture as well. So we've been very lucky since also the Botanical Garden, and this is why I was telling you it's also a very important project, that since we developed the Botanical Garden, we're doing other 5 projects there. And it's a biotechnological park that it's right now under construction for the university. It's a public building which merges the academic park with the business part of the city, because it belongs to the university, but it holds different companies that will rent spaces and hire students. It's a building that makes this program mixed. We are also doing, where the rivers converge, where the 2 rivers converge, a river walk that we, in a way, we're trying to bring the people to the river. The river is there, everybody crosses it, everybody leaves it every day, but they don't use it and they don't care about it. So we decided to put the attention on the river. So we decided to do this river walk instead of just on the side, on top of the river. We also are doing an intervention in a cultural building. We're doing the annex building that it's on top. We are refurbishing the whole building and then adding this new part on top. And the project where it all started, the Botanical Garden. The Botanical Garden, as I told you, existed before. It is around 35 years since it started. It's a place where many species, many different species and important species, botanically speaking, are, but they're not classified at all. They were not classified at all. When I arrived, for me, one of the most important things was the way it was done, the spontaneity, how it was created, and the feeling that this gave to a visitor. I think also in Mexico, culture is for a very small elite and it's hard to spread it out. It's hard to spread it out because people also feel very uncomfortable to get into a museum, for example, when when you don't know anything about it, you don't go in, probably, no, many times. And for me, I had this sensation when I was first called for this project. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to go to this botanical garden where they want me to do a project, and I have no idea in botanics. And the best part of it, of my first day there, was that it was totally comfortable, my visit. I didn't feel uncomfortable of not knowing about botanics. I learned a lot. And for me, this was one of the most important things for the project. I thought that the project, the intention of putting 35 pieces of art was very important for it to be very simple, very open, very, in a way, innocent, or put it in a way that people didn't feel overwhelmed or in a way rejected by these things, and so the people could feel very into it. So the garden is very used by many people. There are around 5,000 visitors every day, and in the peak days it's around 10,000. The city is 1 million people, I told you, and people go there for many, many reasons, no? So as I told you, the variety of plants there, it's huge. They have an important collection of palms, a very important collection of bamboos, and a very important collection of endemic vegetation from the area. So they had art before, and we created a team. First of all, there was a curator named Patrick Charpenel, who was invited by the businessman to select 35 pieces of art from his collection to put them in the botanical garden. Then he decided that, as I told you, this garden is used by many people for many things. I will tell you a little bit of the story. There's a very important day when a girl turns into 15 in Mexico, 15 years. They give a big party, big party. They even spend money that they don't have, all these families. And this is when they go here to take their pictures of that day. And so we, as I was telling you, there are 35. There were 35 artists that were the idea of this collector to have them. And Patrick, the curator, decided to convince him to invite the artist to do a in situ work, to commission this artist to go there to the botanical garden and to build a site-specific piece for it. And then they decided they needed an architect, because for having 35 people, 35 pieces of art in this garden, they needed a program that could enhance the new insertion of these pieces. And also, so we were invited, and when we went in, we decided we needed to bring in people, experts in botanics, because first of all, the first reason of this place to exist is botanics. So we decided to invite a specialist in botanics, which is Taller de Operaciones Ambientales, who could also reinforce the botanical park. So we first created we were asked, as Patrick was asked to put 35 pieces of art, we were asked to put 5 buildings and another 4 or 5 for services. 5 buildings like an exhibition room, a library, an educational facility for kids, different buildings that could reinforce, as I told you, the program that was intended, the new program that was intended. So we decided to find something that could allow us to organize this garden in a way that could allow us to put all these new programs, that could allow us also to deal with the existing park that was there, all the plants that were there. So we decided to take a trace from the branches of this tree, and you cannot see it, sorry. And we overlapped it with the existing one, and of course we had to adapt it. Sorry, this you cannot see. Oops. And at the end, this allow us to decide where we should insert all these things. I will show you first the part of the landscape. It's been taking around. It takes around 4 months to move one tree. So this has been taking a long time, but we thought it was very, very important, first of all, to reinforce the botanical collection first of anything. So we've been working on that in the Botanical Garden, as I was telling you, and we've been already finishing some areas. The first area we finished was this pedestrian pathway that divides the ecological park, which is this one, and the Botanical Garden. And it became now the most important place in Culiacan. People go there to see who, in little towns in Mexico, you go in the afternoons to drive around and to see who is there and to see if you find your next girlfriend or boyfriend. And the second area we've been working on is the main water pond. There was one water pond in the garden, and we changed it completely. And we decided to add 5 other ones to create the experience in a much nicer way. Water gives a lot of things, create an ecosystem, a little ecosystem in different areas. Also helps for your visit because the weather is very extreme here. So we created a second one here that it's surrounded by the bamboo collection. Has, I think, 250 species, more or less, of bamboos. This was finished, I think, around a year ago. We also been working within different areas in different moments of time, because the intention is to never close the botanical garden, to keep it in use while we do the intervention. Also, the intention was also to insert the pieces of art one by one, also to people to adopt them, to really make the pieces part of the experience, and also to have the feeling that they've been growing up for the garden. No? So also we've been working in the irrigation system. It now has a totally sustainable irrigation system. So the garden captures its own water and treats it and moves it around. So the water is, so the system is totally sustainable in terms of water. Still, we cannot completely do it with electricity, but we're working on it now. And we also created different plazas, different areas for rest, different pathways with different materials to create the experience much richer, no, in a way that it was. Reinforcing what it was, but also introducing new things to make it even stronger. So the art program, as I was telling you, it consists in inviting 35 artists from all over the world. Artists include people like Dan Graham, Olafur Eliasson, James Turrell, Ricky Tirabanija, Francis Salis, Simon Starling, etc. Gabriel Orozco. And the list is amazing of artists. All of them have gone to the garden, and all of them have each done a piece for it, specific piece for it. This is a piece from Alora Calzadilla, which are an American couple working for it, and this is a wood piece that comes out from a. This is a Photoshop. It's not there yet. This is a Mexican artist, Abraham Cruz Villegas. This is a Dan Graham pavilion that is already installed in place. You cannot see it very much. Well, this is the whole idea of it, the reflection. This is a piece from Olafur Eliasson. It's a pavilion. It's already installed in place. And it's a pavilion that the idea is to work with the light and the reflection of the light and the shadow that it creates. This is a piece from a Mexican artist, Mario Garcia Torres. He's a cannabis plant. And this whole thing, of course, many of the artists are working with the issue of the drugs, of the problem that the city has. And this piece, I'll tell you a little story very quick. The artist wanted to plant a cannabis plant in the botanical garden. Of course, it wasn't allowed. He tried with all the legal permissions, and the permission was rejected. So he decided to create a plastic one and to plant it in the botanical garden. So we have the species there, and the people can learn from it as well. This is a piece from Richard Long. This was the only artist that was not in the botanical garden, and the piece is installed. This is an artist from Culiacan, Teresa Margolles, that works a lot with her work. It's totally talking about the drug problem in Mexico, and she's from this city. These benches are very comfortable benches. Well, not that comfortable, I must say, but she says that they're very comfortable seats, and they are done with concrete, but the concrete has a mixture of water that it's taken from the dead bodies of the people that have been killed from the drug dealers. A piece from Ribane Neuvesvander, from Giulianopi, Gabriel Orozco. Another piece that deals with the problematic is this one from Pedro Reyes, and what he did is he destroyed all the guns that were confiscated by the military from the people from the drug dealers, and he destroyed them, and he created tools for gardening for the garden. This is a design from Jorge Pardo for the desert area. This is a pavilion from Valesca Suarez, who is a Brazilian artist. It's almost done. This is a pavilion done by Sofia Tabuas, a piece from Diana Titter, a mobile lab from Toro Lab, an observatory from James Turrell, which is very interesting because he chose a place that it was surrounded by these palm trees in the garden, that it was already like this, and he decided to create this observatory to, of course, see the change of the light during the day. This is a piece from Pablo Vargas Lugo, a Mexican artist, which is a star breaking up from the bamboos, a piece from Franz West. So in general terms, the art program is very, very ambitious. So this is why we decided that the architecture should respond to this and only to enhance the whole experience by being a little bit careful on the intervention, of course, reinforcing the botanic part, and working with the artists to decide and define where, what, and how. So this was also a very important thing that the office learned. We'd worked with many, many disciplines in this project. There are people that are involved, philosophers, politics, even an economist is involved in the project, all the artists, the graphic designers, landscape designers, experts in botanics, and biologists. So working with all these people have really make us define the way we work now. We think that architecture is, it needs now all these disciplines to become something for society. Society now is truly complex, and before the architect was the god doing the building. Now we think that the architect really needs all these disciplines, and all these people also need different heads, different minds, to have a project that can respond to the society that it's going to use it. Society is very complex, very very varied, very wide, very undefined, and I think that the projects need to have all this input to respond to it. So when we worked like this and we realized this, that we were working this way in this project, we decided that this was the way we wanted to work in the office. So in the office we have people from many different nationalities, but also many different disciplines, and this allows us to respond in the way that we're responding to different projects. No, so the architecture that we did. Sorry, you will not be able to see the plans that well, but it was also it was trying to respond in a natural way to the trace we did with tracing the branches of the tree, and to create these little structures that we were asked for. The first one was the south axis with a cafeteria, small cafeteria. This is a little pavilion, audiovisual, from audiovisual to see a movie that shows you that introduce you to the visit of the Botanical Garden. Another group of buildings that it's an educational facility for kids, an auditorium, and a service area. Also, this is a work from another artist named, the one that it's in the Little Hills, from Tercero Un Quinto, so other Mexican artists. The only building that is different is the greenhouse, which, sorry, the plans you cannot see. The greenhouse is the only different building that we did. We decided that the structures had to be pieces of the land, maybe. No, we decided to do these buildings in a tectonic way. Maybe, of course, we're not trying to simulate rocks, but they could be related to something that had been in the nature before. And also, we thought that if they are from time during some years, it can be eaten, or like can be eaten from the nature, would be also very good if nature can eat these buildings and be part of the place. No, so the only building we couldn't, of course, define it with concrete, exposed concrete, was the greenhouse. And this one, the shape, of course, was the same, defined by the master plan and the program. And we needed to do a glass building, but we needed to control the amount of light and the amount of illumination that was in the place. So we decided to use this film. The color is defined by the film we needed to have the exact amount of UV rays in the building. So we decided to cut the film with the form of a shadow of a tree. So the interior, the light that comes in, is controlled. It's 35% during the summer and a little bit less during the winter. So these were the technical requirements we needed. So this is why we decided to cut it this way, and the amount of cuts that we did. Another set of buildings is the exhibition room, the library, and the workshop for pottery mainly, but maybe there's a different kind of workshops done there. And they needed an exhibition space also to, as well as a library, to reinforce the art program and a little bit to explain more or what the art program is there. So we created these buildings in the same way the other ones were. The big one is the exhibition area. Then you see the back of the workshop, and then you see a little bit of the library. This is the front of the library and the workshop area, which has also an exterior reading area. And with this, I end of my presentation. I just wanted to reinforce the idea that these two projects are very different, but in a way for us very important. They're small interventions, the first ones in a very wide and open space, and it's a bigger intervention. Sorry, again, the quality is not that well. But but I think we are trying to insert these little pieces in a country where it really helps to have a little bit of, I think nowadays, a little bit of new infrastructure, fresh, different, and that could, in a way, change a bit, at least the local point where it is. No, I think that the reference of the Botanical Garden and the start point for us to work in this city is very important as well, because in a way is very definitely very poetic to start with a botanical garden that is very visited, that has 35 pieces of art, very important pieces of art. But in a way, it's also incredibly important how we started to work with all these different disciplines and how we started to connect this project with the other ones. And in the other route, I think that now that we are starting to do another one in the south of that pilgrimage route, in a much more touristic one with the same client, the idea to intervene in a site where 3 million people will walk and will pass by and will help them to have a more comfortable walk is also for us an incredible opportunity to make a real impact in some little places of our country. So I think with this I end up my presentation, and thank you very much.